and we'll call to order January 6th, 2026 Corcoran Planning Commission meeting. We'll start with roll call. Commissioner Lind? Here. Commissioner Zachman? Here. Commissioner Hargreaves? Here. Commissioner Kozicki? Here. And Commissioner Brummond is here. And then I'd like to invite you all to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance with us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and that moves us into the agenda for tonight. Is there anyone who needs to make any changes or amendments? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, Kozicki made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And anyone opposed? Okay. Then we will move into the open forum, which is the opportunity for any member of the public to address the Planning Commission on items that are not on the agenda for tonight. I know that we have the applicant here. Would you like to address the commission, ma'am, or are you just here to participate? Awesome. Well, we welcome you. We're glad you're here. And so then, since public comment can only be made in person, we will move on. We don't need a motion. Sorry, thanks. That takes us to our meeting minutes from November, because that was our last Planning Commission meeting. So you guys had access to the minutes. I will say one thing, and that is just an apology, because there was one time where I made a motion and then we didn't have a second. And so luckily that's the issue that's before us tonight, but you guys keep me in check. Sometimes if I'm just moving forward too efficiently. So I apologize for that. That was in the meeting minutes, but I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. And
what did we do?
We made a motion. I made a motion, and then we all made it. We said an approval. I just said all those in favor, but there just wasn't a second.
Oh, we didn't have a second. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well,
anyway, but all that to say is sometimes I need to be.
We're all human.
I can't miss those things. But luckily we get another chance tonight. So, but is there anyone else who needed to make any changes to the meeting minutes? If not, someone can make a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, and I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
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 And anyone opposed? All right, and then that brings us to the new business on the agenda for tonight, and that is a revisiting of an application, but there's been some amendments, and I believe Kendra is going to lead us in the staff report. Is that correct?
That's right,
Perfect.
Chair, Commissioners. This is really, you did approve at the November meeting the site plan conditional use permits and 2 variances with conditions. And after that meeting, staff met with the applicant and talked through what those conditions meant in practice. And they have submitted 2 additional variances. And so I am focusing my presentation tonight on just the 2 additional variances. But just again, briefly as a refresher, auto repair services have been on this lot since the 1980s. They have an existing conditional use permit for a dealer license that was granted in 1997. And the site plan and conditional use permit are required to allow them to expand the dealer stalls and make some parking lot improvements. So at your hearing, you did recommend approval of everything with some conditions that as a result, we have 2 new variances in front of you. So tonight, in addition to the things we looked at in November, we're looking at a variance to allow outside storage without screening. The November resolution said it needed to be fenced or screened, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then a variance to allow automobile storage outside. The last resolution required that all inoperable vehicles and automobile parts be stored inside the building. They have a lot of inoperable vehicles on site, and they don't have space to store them inside. So they're asking for a variance to continue operating as they have been operating on this light industrial property. So this was the approved 1997 plan. And this was the plan that you looked at last month. And I highlight this because this had a mix of paved and gravel parking areas. And they've now updated that to pave the entire site. They've made a couple changes, moving the dealer stalls up here from here. And the storage area that they submitted is a pretty broad area, and we are recommending some modifications to that to ensure that the drive aisle stay open. And that was in your packet and on the upcoming slide here. So while we have no objection to the boundaries of the outside storage area, we do need to keep the drive aisle free. So we've just blocked off the zone to keep those free. And the variance would then allow outside storage in these two areas. Typically, we do require those to be screened. We talked about a fence last time because there really isn't any room to do any landscaping and keep the site functional. What I learned more definitively during the site visit is while there is an overhead door here, you can't really get into the bays. The vehicles need to come in this door to get into the bays that exist today, and that I'm going to say occasionally, David might say more often than that, the vehicles are inoperable and need to be pushed in, so they really need this storage area to remain open, which is part of the reason that the vehicle dealer stalls are moved up here. We do recommend approval of the outside storage area without screening for a number of reasons, including the size of the existing lot precludes providing the screening with landscaping, and fencing would make operationally the site very challenged. I would say as a benefit to the variance or a condition to the variance is that all of the site will now be paved rather than gravel surface. So we do recommend approval of that variance. Variance number 2 is related but slightly different. Approval of auto repair conditions, standard conditions say that all outside that there's no outside storage allowed, that all items related to auto repair need to be in the building, including damaged vehicles. And as I just said, that really just can't happen. And so with the condition of limiting the storage to these areas and the condition that the entire parking lot be paved as they're showing here, we do recommend approval of the variance with the note that damaged vehicles and inoperable vehicles need to be stored in this outside storage area, but other vehicles that are functional and working can be parked anywhere on site, just to add some clarity. So again, you did recommend approval of the site plan, the variance for the drive aisle, the variance for parking with a reduced setback on the north, the conditional use permit modification to the motor vehicle sales, and the conditional use permit to allow outside storage. We're modifying that outside storage condition if we approve the 2 variances requested. Those variances are outlined in items number 5 and 6 of the draft resolution. And again, this is our recommended outside storage area plan, which is noted in the resolution. So although you did take action last time, just for clarity, we would just recommend that you recommend approval of the draft resolution, which incorporates the items from the November 6th meeting and approval of the 2 additional variances subject to the conditions in the resolution.
Thank you, Kendra. All right, at this point in time, then we will open the public hearing for the automotive variance site plan condition and conditional use permit. That again, we only take comments from in person, and since the applicant is here, he'll get an opportunity to speak if necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a motion to close that public hearing on the heels of opening it.
Second.
All right, Zachman seconds, and all those in favor say aye. Aye. And anyone opposed? Okay. And so we do want to give you an opportunity to address the 2 new variances or the new resolution that's put before us if you want to. So if you want to come up to the podium and state your name and address, that'd be great.
David Rasmussen, on behalf of Phil's Quality Automotive, 7590 Commerce Street, Corcoran, Minnesota. As Kendra laid out and in the planning there, and your modification is fine. I just quickly drew the area. I knew the drive aisles weren't gonna be included in that. But yeah, we made some improvements to it. One thing I will note is, she had mentioned damaged vehicles. We don't do any body work. We don't do any stuff like that, so it's very rare that there's a physically damaged or vehicle that looks other than running, driving. Sometimes there's engine components that get removed and sent off to a rebuilder or something like that, and they sit outside. We just don't have the space, and our lot is probably the worst lot in the commercial park for space. So that's pretty much all I have on it.
Great, thank you. At this point in time, we would open it up if there needs to be any questions asked or discussion had, or if someone is ready to make a motion, they are welcome to also lead by making a motion.
I guess just one question, thanks for the clarification on the not junked automobiles. The storage area, what do you guys keep out there in the storage area?
So most of the storage stuff is just vehicles. After we remove an engine or a transmission or a component, it gets placed outside so that we can continue. The way automotive repair works is we only get paid when we bill hours, and if it's sitting on a lift, that lift is no longer making me money, it's costing me money. So it's gotta get put somewhere, and we just don't have the additional square footage at this point to do that. Now, that may change in the future with an expansion, which is why I wanted to leave the gravel in the back prior to this, but we're kind of working together to come up with a plan. So I'm gonna have to tar up down the road when we expand the building out the rest of the way. At that point, then we'll readdress some of the storage stuff, but as of right now, it's mainly just vehicles that are waiting on a part.
Just additional parking, basically.
Yeah, and that's currently what we're using it for too. We have three to four stalls right there, and then 2 stalls that back up to the back, what used to be the dealer lot that we put the cars at, because it's easy to push them into the building and out of the building from there. Yep.
I'm ready to make a motion
Go for it.
to approve.
I will second. And I'd also just like to say that we appreciate the longevity of the business and the willingness to stay in the city. So thank you for working with the city to make some accommodations. And then anyone else? Otherwise, all those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
And anyone opposed? All right, thank you so much, and thanks for missing wrestling practice to be here. Hope that was an easy one. You're welcome to stay. We're just gonna run through the rest of the meeting. It's pretty light tonight, so we're gonna move on to our other business, which if you guys, well, Dwight, you could address it, but there were sort of a recap of the things that the Planning Commission had done in 2025, and then a review of the goals we had set, and then it sort of sounds like maybe we're just gonna try to keep addressing those goals in the following year.
That is correct, Madam Chair. Yeah, a lot of the goals we're gonna carry over to 2026, since we have gotten to have the opportunity to address some of the goals from 2025, but we didn't get to address all of them, so continue to carry those forward to 2026 and continue to try and address all of those as possible. But if the commission has additional goals that you'd like to add to this, I'm happy to add those to that draft. This is just kind of the first step at it.
I feel like I said this last year, and I need to put some concrete thoughts together. But, you know, I do think there's very good things that this group does in regards to coming up with different questions we need to ask and strategic thoughts about planning and, you know, challenging each other. And I think that while it's great we reflect the tactical things we did, I'm always wondering about those kind of intangible things and decisions that we made, and if there's a way to summarize it differently, so that it's not like just here's all the things we did, but it's like here are some more impactful statements. Again, I hate providing suggestions without tangible things, so I'll work on that. And then the other thing I would add to it, if this is a formal communication to council, I see towards the bottom that we say, we appreciate their support, we request feedback. I'd love to add in that I don't want to speak on behalf of others, but it's really great that you come, Councilman Camp. I think it's great to have your voice and have you actively listening every month. Just want to reflect that as, just a kudos there. And then that we have likely brought this up, I think, in other meetings, which was more opportunities to collaborate with council is requested. And I know we're welcome to things, but are there joint working sessions that we should be just wanting to make a note that that's something that we're certainly open to and would like to define those opportunities in 2026. Those were a couple thoughts. Thanks.
Good thoughts. And I get what you were conveying in terms of not just the approval or the agenda items that come before you, but how does it, ideas or critical thinking impact sort of how we see things, the perspective or what have you of culture. I don't know the appropriate buzzword to use, but
yeah, it's hard to describe, but yeah, I think you're understanding what I'm saying.
And then also, I guess the only question that I had is that we really are sometimes at the mercy of the applications that come in. And so I know we typically do a training once a year regarding just reviewing commission and its role and all that sort of stuff. Is there ever, because it gets really busy, so we head into spring, but is there ever, I know we have to wait for direction from council on any of the particular items, so if something comes to an ordinance draft or that sort of thing, then it gets put on as an agenda item. Is that really the only opportunity to address one of the specific goals if it gets put on the agenda somehow?
Essentially, I mean, there are city-initiated processes for zoning ordinance amendments or things like that, but generally as directed by the council for us to spend that time and resources to bring that forward to you guys.
Okay. And then I will save that for, because I guess one of the ones that just started out really strong in 2025 that waned as the year went on was that commercial and industrial. And so I guess I don't want to assume, but I should ask, where are we at in the strength of reviewing that? I know we have a potential, yeah, I'll let you.
Yeah, I believe that that's being brought back around on Emily's work plan. I think there was some just workload constraints that kind of put that on the back burner, but now that we're being able to get caught up on a lot of projects, I think that's kind of being brought back around.
Okay.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we see that in the coming months here.
Okay. Does anyone else have any?
A couple questions, like for the priorities, take like community farms and gardens, agribusiness, agri-hoods, that kind of thing. So what's kind of the process for discussing, encouraging this type of thing? Do we have like a joint planning city council meeting to kind of brainstorm, or does that just kind of fall under the city council kind of make determinations? And then
That's a good question. I haven't really been too involved with forwarding these to the city council itself. Councilor Van Kemp, if you want to speak to it.
Commissioner, thank you. We have an ordinance. It was written, I thought, in collaboration with your guys' input, council, and our planning group, and those kind of things. We have an ordinance. The applications that have come, the ordinance has been modified some. We've got the winery on 30, the organic farm on Trailhaven in 10, which is turned into something else, but it's still labeled. There's some goofy things going on, so the whole ordinance and stuff is in its infancy. The conversation that you guys are talking about, the involvement with the council, we've got, I believe, one of our upcoming work sessions is talking about our goals and priorities for this year. And in my mind, I want this year, 3 years out, 5 years out. It's the way I've always tried it. It's taken a while for us to turn the ship and point us in that direction of better planning on everybody's part. So, your comments related to the agribusinesses and the farming and those kind of things, all things I see a lot. We've got a few of these that have popped up. The looks of them are kind of questionable and such, but it's all stuff we're watching to do a farmer's market. That is a huge goal of mine, especially after we get our new park community room built and stuff. If you haven't been by, please look. It looks really small, but if you wander on and nobody shakes you out of there, it's kind of a big building. It's going to have a beautiful outside. I'm going to call it a lean-to because it is kind of the farm type deal, but that's one of the many things that I'd like. And please show up at our planning meeting. I don't remember if it's this month or next month, but it's a city council work session, and we are talking about goals and those kind of things. If any of you guys show up, I will make sure I recognize you as somebody that can contribute. I think we've done that in the past with many folks. Corinne, I know you have shown up in many council meetings, and one of us has stopped and confirmed what you are thinking or asked your input on our conversation and stuff. So please know and recognize that you are part of our community in a huge way. You're all volunteers. Long story short, I'd love to know more about what you're thinking related to that, and I think I might owe you a phone call. You asked me something in an email, and I think the more I think about it, I owe you a phone call. So I'll call you, and we'll talk on whatever it was. I got to go look back, but it is crazy the amount of communications. So, and I've got some more input. Thank you, Lindsay, for your comments related to me coming, but I've got a couple of questions about that at my time if I'm still allowed. So.
Okay. When is the council working session?
I think the next work session is the 22nd
It's the
of this
fourth
month.
meeting, yeah, I think. It's not on, so one of the nice things, I know I was not a big fan of Granicus, so, but one of the nice things is that, like, our meetings, but as well as the council meetings all pop up and the agenda would be on there, so
Should,
it's not
yeah.
the one on the 8th.
But I think the 22nd,
Yeah.
there's a work session. We haven't been scheduling any for the first Thursday, or excuse me, the second Thursday before council meetings. It's always the fourth Thursday. So there's a work session coming up on the 22nd, and obviously there'll be one coming up on the 26th of February. I can't remember if the priority was going to come up in the one on the 12th of February, if we were going to do an unplanned work session, but obviously posted. But
Okay.
please look at that. And again, I've got a couple more comments about information and those kind of things when it's my time.
And in my conversations with City Administrator Tobin, I believe the goal-setting work session is going to be the second meeting in February,
Okay, yeah.
fourth Thursday.
26th.
But I can confirm that with you guys ahead of time. And then I was going to touch on this during the council liaison calendar portion, but I can touch on it now. There is going to be a work session on February 12th, and the Planning Commission is
Cool.
invited to attend that. It's a visioning workshop for just some of the early strategies for the planning process for the next 20 years.
Is that the one that Parks is involved in too, or be invited to also?
I don't believe,
May or may not be.
I'm
but
not sure. I'll have to check with.
Cool.
the
I
administrator, but-
haven't gotten that conversation with Jay yet.
Sure.
So
Can you just send us a note with these dates?
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, this was all discussed, I believe, yesterday, so it's still
Oh, cool.
pretty fresh. So I was planning on giving you guys the verbal heads up and then giving you the email follow-up.
Great, thank you.
Perfect. Anything else related to the planning commission annual report and the priority setting. If not, we will move to allow Councilman Camp some time to bring up the other things he wants to.
Thank you. Dwight, thank you for that quick update on yesterday's information and such. Number one, other than Lindsay, do you guys all want me here?
Yes.
Well, if it's too much for you, I feel.
No, I have to participate in our volunteer groups and stuff. I have to. I want to. That is what I believe my job is, and the council's job is to do, is hear it firsthand instead of reading notes. So I want to do this. Many comments have come out of the parks and out of, I don't know if so many out of you guys, but we've done a significant amount, our communication group has done a significant amount about summarizing a lot of these things. And I think the next update will include those work sessions and stuff. Are you all seeing those either on Facebook, those kind of things, or your email? I'll put out the feeler to make sure that we send that specifically to everybody's email. Dwight can add that too. Those summaries about what the council did, what planning did, all of that stuff. It's a very detailed list of those kind of things that should be coming. I thought email, that's why I'm asking. I know it comes out on Facebook and those kind of things of all of the things that's going on. And then the third item is obviously the quarterly newsletter, which has turned into coming out before most things happen instead of a month after they happen. That was one of my big things, that it should be what's coming, not what has already happened. And, okay. I really believe our newsletter has grown and is wonderful. The costs, we've done everything we can to drive the costs down and still get it out to everybody, but we still have people that don't read it. It comes, it looks like something, and people just toss it, and then they show up at City Hall or at council meetings or planning meetings and say, what the heck's going on? And I don't know how many times I've referenced, have you read the newsletter, when they call me out of the blue? Okay. Last meeting, obviously, difficult for a lot of us to accept, me just as much as any other resident in town, about our taxes, but we have worked that down. It has been, I think it has been irresponsible, if I don't want to insult anybody, but it's been irresponsible to keep a flat tax rate with the requirements of what we have as a city has to provide. And that flat tax rate has been held that way from previous councils and mayors and administrations for 10 years. So my input or my thoughts on what has happened this year, I think it's something that needs to be done, but I think we got to go back to being as fiscally responsible as we possibly can, which I think we've been doing good the last few years, but I think we could have done better prior to that. And it's leading into my next subject, growth, all of the planning stuff that's going to be happening. I don't know what's going to be happening, but I keep hearing a lot of rumors about, there's a lot of stuff that's going to come to us, you guys included, okay? There was a comment made, and it was, I wanted to jump out of my chair and just correct the person for their comments. They said our planning group is doing a poor job at developing this city. Okay? When somebody says that, it's not just Natalie, Dwight, Kendra, it's the 5 volunteers that you guys all are sitting there. I want to say it, I don't know how many people are listening, but we have a comprehensive plan on where industrial's going, when commercial's going, where residential's are going. All of that, parks, trails, all of those things have been part of that plan for 40 years. They haven't adjusted or moved much. I believe there is a significant effort going on right now. There will be 7 public meetings over the next number of months, ending up with a final meeting in August at getting all the
Yeah,
numbers
we got
right.
them.
Sometimes I'm smarter than I look. But I want you all to know that's all gonna be published. Those public meetings are gonna be many, some of them are gonna be at night, 6 PM. I believe there's one that's, I don't know the times exactly, but I believe there's gonna be one at the Bellwether, Community Room. There's gonna be one at the Hope Church. There's gonna be one at the Catholic Church down here. Dwight, do you know what?
That's okay, we'll get those
St.
details as
Therese,
it
all of
comes.
that information is gonna come, but I wanted to tell you guys, if somebody says you all aren't doing your job as far as planning this city very, very well, I take that very personal, and I disagree.
Well, I was at the meeting, I
Yes, you
actually
were.
gave public comment as a resident.
Did you hear what
I
that
did hear it,
person
but
said?
I want to say in all fairness that I think their intent was not directly at this planning commission, but was expressing frustration regarding some of the things that are like, it's layered, right? So things get passed down from the county that we don't have a choice about. Things get passed down from the state.
Related to the tax stuff, yeah.
Well, no, just even about planning for roads and.
Yep, true, very
So
true.
I don't think it was a personal direct at all. I also feel like there was some frustration just over the lack of business. Because unfortunately, the theme of that night is that development is driving the costs. And for those who do not live in developed
Good point.
parts of Corcoran, we are bearing a burden, a tax burden, for what we resisted, but we're told we can't do anything about. And I think as a resident, that feels frustrating to hear. And so that is how I received it. Again, I
Okay.
don't think it was a personal statement about the planning commission. It was obviously, it's a highly, it isn't happening in a bubble, which is the other thing that the individual said. And so the increase is happening in an environment where everything is increasing and people are starting to ask, how am I going to be able to afford it?
Yeah.
And so that is where
Good point.
the individual.
Again, that person had only lived here 4 years, and that person has actually asked for many amenities into our city. So
Yeah.
that's my frustration. They're asking for more, and wait a minute, you moved to Corcoran to get away from all that in the city, but yet they want trails plowed in the wintertime. They want pickleball courts. They want all of this stuff. That's all, that's adding on top of everything else that needs to be done. So that was frustrating to me. So thank you for your thoughts on that. I'm looking at it a little bit different way now.
It does make me think of something, because when I hear that, well, first of all, anyone has a right to their opinion and can speak it, so,
Agreed.
okay, fine. Secondly, it makes me feel at times where that might be misdirected in some ways, because there are times, and this is part of the governing nature of having a commission and having the council.
Right.
But there have been times this year where we've voted one way and council's voted another. And while our opinion matters, it really doesn't when it comes to actually executing something. And so,
To that point, and I can think of all of them, that we did something different than your recommendation. I think I know all of them. There's some items and thoughts that, I want to say this,
well,
that you don't know some of the information, your votes and your thoughts and your ideas are based off of ordinances and the comp plan and all of those things. There's many things that happen that I try not to let it influence me. Yeah, I can't.
well,
I
yeah,
know
that's
what you're saying. I'll let you
even,
finish.
maybe, that's, we're making the decisions off of what we're supposed to be making the decisions off of.
Yep.
What I'm about to suggest or think about is, in order to help this group feel that we have the ability to communicate effectively to council, to maybe get through some of the political noise that council has to, that maybe
That's a
is
good
what
way
you're
to say it.
insinuating.
Even though I don't, I try not to let the politics get to me.
right, but, is there any sort of action where if we're voting against a recommendation from staff, or in any way, like, is there some sort of different announcement or summary or something that could be sent to council, or a discussion warranted, or, I don't know if anything like this exists, right? But oftentimes it's like, and it's not like these are often occurrences, but they do happen, and it's very important. We vote one way, and council has voted another way in instances, and then we'll ask, why did that happen later? And maybe we don't get the full scoop, maybe we do, but either way, it feels as though this perspective could be further extended and be more valuable to council. And how can we fix that?
I will say that you are all welcome to reach out to council prior to it going before, to have a conversation or an email. I have done that on a few occasions before the agenda item makes it to council, to be able to express maybe further perspective, or to give context, I feel like is sometimes, but that's also where the meeting minutes and the summaries are. So beyond that though, it really, I don't know that there is, I don't know.
Maybe not today, but should there be? I don't know.
Before I got up there, all of y'all, before I got to council status, I was there on the planning commission, and everything we recommended yes to was shot down. I know your frustration, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Now that I get to council, it's all your guys' thoughts, and it triggers me to think of something else that can make it so it shouldn't happen, if that makes sense.
And that's because you're
Okay.
here, right? But you're one of
Yep.
multiple. So
If-
that's what
if
I'm trying to
everybody
solve
were to
for.
listen to it, Yep,
It-
let's use the gas station up
Yeah.
on 101, all approved, all done. But council made the restrictions related to hours of operation. We still approved it, but it went away because they did not want that. They had the opportunity to say that was the deal breaker.
Or because as a business, it would no longer give them the profit that they sought in order to make it valuable. So I'm just
Yeah.
saying, it's not like, it's like, they are a business.
But what I'm saying is you guys approved that to us without that stipulation. That
Correct.
one stipulation, they went
Yeah.
away. But just telling you, I know your frustration, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think it might be something that I think it would be better to have a conversation after the vote, and, all right, what are we gonna do to explain to the planning commission why we said no when they said yes? While we're at the dais, not after a fact, not me coming here and saying why we said no when you said yes. It would be public record. Is that something that would help?
Well, but even I'm thinking about your first reaction to my comment was, yes, we're making the decisions based off the comp plan and based off of like, subjectively, what's the best strategy for the city from a planning perspective, but
Yeah.
then other things pile in. And so rather than, I don't think we need more communication afterwards.
Be
I'm
nice
saying,
if
how do
you
we
know
help
those
make
other
actual
things up
good
front.
strategic decisions from the planning perspective, and how do we make sure that that's communicated to
Yeah.
council? And I agree with what you're saying, Corinne, but it's one voice more as a resident than it is a governing body that looks and understands the strategy and is acting as a voice.
And I think that as frustrating as it can be, that's what the commission meeting is for, with the discussion and then the vote. And beyond that, it feels redundant to do anything else. I think that just, because if it's not going to be regarded, it's not going to be, or if it's balanced with a different thought process or whatever, I don't know that it would.
And we've even had the ones where there's nobody here tonight, but I'll take Phil's as an example, and then all of a sudden at the council meeting, the room will be full, opposing what is asked for, which you didn't have. You didn't have
Sure.
public information.
That's true.
Some of the things, I don't think the place is gonna be full next on whatever this comes up in front of us, but there's just so many different things, and it frustrates me just as much that know, those kind of things, that's all great. I'm listening to each and every one of you, but boy, it sure is difficult when not everybody's on the same page. There's many times I've said yes and I didn't want to. So I know how you guys are feeling, so, and like I said, I truly appreciate your guys' input. And I think it might be gonna get busy, so.
Well, I just, to balance that out, I think it's a strength of democracy when not everybody sees things the same way. So it would be terrifying if we were governed by people who saw things all the same way, as frustrating as it is. And I think sometimes the slow is the strength. If things could go quickly and change overnight, that would also be equally terrifying. And so I choose to see both the varied perspectives and the slowness as strengths.
I love it.
Though they are frustrating sometimes. So, thank you for the update
And I'll
and,
keep coming if you want me. I had one vote yes.
Yes.
Anybody else? Okay,
Yes, I'd
cool.
like to see it.
And then when you want me to shut up, tell me to shut up. Because this should have been a shorter meeting, and
well,
that's my fault.
but I also think I
think
think
it's
that
mine.
we had a meeting in November, maybe it was November, where we just said too that, specifically asking, like, putting, what am I trying to say? Directives around that update. So instead of maybe the calendar events that are the ongoings of the city, instead having it be planning related to the council. So in terms of like, if there's a concept plan that came through, if there's I mean, that was something I had requested. So, but that's another way maybe that we could enrich that time during meetings, is if there's a particular aspect of the council update that you would really like to see, maybe identify what that is so that we can make sure that it's included in that update, so that it becomes an enriched time in terms of
With
him.
the recommendation.
Or just, no, like him thinking about, okay, this is where the council is at, and what can I bring to the planning commission? Maybe we don't need to know, where, the night to night, right? Because we would all be up to, like, that's what I was thinking of, like, I don't need to know the calendar updates, but maybe some of you really want to know the calendar updates in terms of where council is going to be at, ribbon cuttings, et cetera, et cetera. I don't need to know that, so I was feeling like what would make it rich for me would be to know the things that are happening at the council meeting that will eventually affect planning commission, but that we're just not privy to because they happen before they come here. That was one of the things, but what I'm opening the door to all of you to say is as you think about that, you don't have to have an answer tonight. If there are specific things that then we could say to Dean, hey, these are the things we really want to hear about from you during that update time, then that would give him some direction on what to share.
And please, my phone number that's posted is my personal number. If you call, leave a message, don't call and hang up. I will call you back. And I mean that, except for, I'm still trying to remember the email, because you asked for something I forgot. Corinne has called me a few times, and I had to listen very intensely.
And we did have one very nice conversation, so you got me
Okay,
totally blown.
well, we'll figure it out, but I'm just saying, if you're frustrated, if you're angry, please call. And if there's something, the other thing I can ask you to do is go on Friday afternoon, prior to our Thursday council meetings. The full agenda is right there. There's some things that are added, but if they aren't added in time for us to talk about it, think about it, we table it for the next meeting. But you all got, how's everybody like their tablets for, instead of the big long packets? Anybody want to go back to the big long packets?
No.
I will forever be a paper and pen person.
You-
I'm sorry, I'm coming around, but.
Corinne, you and me both, but I'm getting used to this. For your meetings, same thing, you look at it the Friday before the Thursday meeting, or is it Friday before the Tuesday meeting this time? Look at our agenda, you don't need to read. I think we've had them up in 1,900 pages of agenda. You can just look at the first page and look at the stuff that you're wanting to know, but you can call me. I will either answer, I will call back, one of those two. But please leave a message, okay? Text me too. Dino, you got time? Give me a call, okay?
Perfect,
I mean it.
thank you. Anything else related to the
One thing I did notice is I used to be able to find the city council videos after the meeting really easily on the website. And I don't know, something's changed on here. And like I went to try to find the one about the taxation, the meeting about the taxation afterwards. And maybe it was, I looked too early and it wasn't out there yet.
I'll show you when we're done.
Okay.
I just went back today, so
Yeah,
in
because
a
I
couple
used to be
places.
able to find all the meetings and now it seems like whenever I go out there, they're not there or I'm not looking in the right place. And if I can't find them, maybe the general public may have an issue with it too, so.
Okay, and then you have a commission liaison calendar that was included in the packet, and then you said that you maybe wanted to, did you already give your verbal heads up, or do you want to review it? Yep.
Yeah, that was just,
Okay.
there's that joint work session, visioning session, I think is what it's called, on February 12th at, I believe it's 5:30, but I will confirm via email with everyone.
Perfect. And so again, it's suggested, you are not required to be the liaison, but that's just sort of the schedule that we go by. If you are interested in maintaining a little bit of that continuity. If there is nothing else, then does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I second it.
Perfect. All those in favor say aye.
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 And anyone opposed?